Welcome back to my Life is Strange analysis. We are analyzing the last chapter. We just finished the first serial killer arc in the fifth chapter of the game, and we're gonna go jet setting off to San Francisco. But first, we have a lot of photos to go through. These tell the story of what is different because we went back and told on Mr. Jefferson. We also handed in a photo so that we could get to San Francisco. Those two things are entirely separate. You know, San Francisco is a car drive away from Washington. Chloe just should have come. I mean, it's a hell of a car drive. It's not a short one, but it's on the same coast. You can just go straight south. Anyway, for some reason, we're still stuck between realities. This plane ride is not a plane ride in the present. It's some kind of weird pseudo plane ride. It's never explained why this is. It could have made for some interesting mechanics if it had ever been explored, but they ran out of time and they never developed her power to this extent, so we don't really know what's going on here.
Good work, David.
We got some messages from Chloe telling us that she's proud of us. But for some reason, she didn't want to drive 8 hours in her crappy truck to go to San Fran with us. Don't know why.
Fixed everything. Wow, sir.
Speaking as someone who was a college student and did go on many road trips, that seems like an obvious choice. Now, for some reason, we're not allowed to look at our phone anymore, but we can look at everything else. I don't remember Hot Dog Man from any earlier scenes, but he shows up several times in this chapter. I don't know if I just missed him or not. Anyway, we have to look at everything to move on, which is why I'm looking at everything.
And the Prescotts. We're almost in San Francisco. I'm so stressed, but I'm so excited too. I have to admit, I love being called an artist. It's so weird to be in between realities.
Chloe still has $5,000. Just drive down to San Fran. Jesus.
Please fasten your seat and stow any electronic gear until the plane is on the ground and at the gate. Thank you. We're starting our descent in a few minutes. It's a beautiful day in San Francisco with clear skies and cool 60 degrees. We hope you...
Oh wow, look at that face. Made out of Play-Doh. The the minor NPCs don't have very good texture work at all.
Think so. I'm hoping these airline seats get smaller so I won't have to fly at all anymore.
I really do enjoy this next dialogue, so let's go ahead and get to it.
How did you sleep?
Hope I wasn't snoring out loud, Max.
Some of it feels kind of rough
Just a bit.
and wonky, almost like it was written by someone else.
It's been a tough week at Blackwell.
But overall, I think it serves its purpose very well.
Between Mr. Jefferson and Prescott's, things have been hectic, to say the least.
I totally get it, Principal Wells.
That's a smart way of telling me to stop whining. We are proud of you for representing Blackwell at the Everyday Heroes contest. I know I'm not exactly the guy you wanted in San Francisco, but we all want you to have a great experience here.
I already am, and we're not even there.
That's such a great line. Oh look,
Christ.
more red herrings.
Another nosebleed? Max, you're not just screwing around with time.
Now, the weather is the only side effect that actually makes a difference. The weather is the side effect that drives the plot forward and drives almost all of our actions in the end game. Despite that, the weather is the side effect that really feels the least real. Anyway, we're now in a San Francisco gallery, and I am amazed. This is like almost entirely new assets. This must have taken their art team weeks. There's dozens and dozens of new paintings, lots of new models, lots of new duct work and all sorts of crazy stuff that must have taken them a lot of time. And when I saw this, I was like, oh, maybe this isn't going to be such a bad sequence. Maybe we're going to see more from this chapter than I ever thought, because they wouldn't spend this much effort on a scene if we were just going to see it once and then revert back, right?
So cool.
They do.
This gallery is huge.
This is a great dialogue sequence to study if you want to learn how to write multi-layered and very gentle, warm dialogue. But what really distracts me here is Max's amulet. She's wearing this big feather amulet, and Rachel is also known for wearing feathers, so I still hadn't given up on the whole Max is Rachel connection.
I feel so weird, like I'm a little kid hanging with the adults.
Max, after this week, you are certainly not a little kid anymore. In fact, you're a noteworthy adult being honored by your peers. Now you have...
That should have been Mr. Jefferson saying it, because his whole thing was watching that happen.
Someday. So I started taking charge of things when I was young. Ask my poor classmates. Max, I'm gonna eat up that caviar so you don't have to. Better get in there and start schmoozing. You know, I won't always be here to take charge, but you come talk to me whenever you want.
That was a really well-written dialogue sequence. Max being scared of this is kind of out of nowhere. It doesn't feel very real. None of this should feel real to her. None of it feels real to us. So I'm not sure why she gets nervous. But I will say that this area is incredible.
From the dark room to this gallery, I've been through so many realities in 1 week. Life is weird.
Nice title dodge. I liked that. Huge amounts of these characters have new dialogue and sequences. All of these sketches are new and are carefully drawn on theme. This place is just amazing. All the characters have textured faces and hair. So much effort. And I started to think, oh, wait, I know what's going to happen. Because you remember my theory was that we were going to be able to jump into a line of selfies. We were going to pin up like half a dozen selfies on the wall and jump between them. That was my theory, remember? But I thought, oh, you know what? I was so stupid because we don't have to pin a whole bunch of selfies up on the wall. We already did pin a whole bunch of selfies up on the wall, and we took a picture of it.
This makes me feel so sad.
That exposure. Loving the retro vibe. Framing.
Me too.
Look at that. Look at all of those selfies. We can jump into any of them. Unfortunately, that's not the case. The only selfie we can jump into is the picture itself, which is a shame.
Hi, and there she is to save the day.
Hi.
Today, Max, you're real honest. At least for today.
Anyway, the hurricane is real, and we're about to find out a lot more about it. Now remember, when we went to an alternate reality where we didn't make any real changes aside from one a long, long time ago, it was suffering the exact same amount of damage as the main reality. So we've been shown that the number of changes we make has no bearing on how much damage reality will suffer. I don't think that's what they meant to show us, though, because it makes no sense.
Max, holy shit, man, your vision. It's true. You saw the tornado. It's coming.
What? Oh no. Chloe, where are you?
I'm so fucking scared. I'm by the beach.
Chloe! Can you hear me? Hello? Hello? Oh my god. The tornado was real. Oh, I didn't fix shit.
You don't have to fix the tornado. It's a tornado. Chloe is alive.
There has to be a way to stop this. For good.
Now, the idea that she can fix the tornado is definitely a recurring idea, but unfortunately I just don't feel it, and I never did when I first played the game either. I don't think that the tornado is a result of her powers, or at least not because she uses her powers at different levels. So that's why this last sequence also fails for me. In addition to, well, let's leave all that for later. She thinks that she can stop the tornado somehow, and so we're going to go ahead and not go to San Fran. Which is a fine choice. San Fran is a super expensive city. Here we are, back in our bedroom, and we are now going to see that the limits of our power are becoming obvious. Back when we were in the torture chamber, we had a good 10 meters of space around us, but now we've only got 2 at most. So this does make a lot of worried sense here. It looks like we are either running out of power or breaking down, or the universe is shattering. It's really hard to tell exactly what's going on. But we're definitely at the limit of our power. One thing I really like, these here, it looks so much like the inside of your eye, doesn't it? And I think it was probably on purpose. So anyhow, we have our phone on us. We can look at our phone here. We can go over into our instant messages. Where are they? Apparently we can't go into our instant messages. We are artificially locked out of our instant messages. But the point is that we instant messaged David about Jefferson being evil back when we were in Jefferson's class. We are now here, and we can instant message anyone we'd like. Chloe, David, Joyce, our mom, our dad, the principal.
Not screw up this timeline. You're almost done.
We can almost see those photos, so maybe if we got a little bit closer, we could jump into one. Oh no, I guess what we're going to do is just tear this photo up. Because that'll obviously mean that we're not going to go to San Fran. If we can't submit the photo, we can't get chosen, and we can't go to San Fran. No problem. We'll still tell on Mr. Jefferson. Mr. Jefferson will still get arrested. So that'll all be fine. Let's tear up the photo. I don't mind not going to San Fran. It would have been easier to message Chloe and tell her, you know, hey, I'm going to go to San Fran. Do you want to go with me? We'll have $5,000. Well, emotionally, ripping up the photo is a theme, and it works well. It's just that they already showed us that we could message people from within the realities. So the fact that we're not doing that is mind-boggling. And what the hell is this? Why are we back in the Dexter scenes? We told on him. We got him arrested. Did he escape? Why is he here? So annoying.
Oh, fuck.
Now, I'm not like normally a stickler for plot holes. I'm not always banging on about plot holes. But when the plot holes get so bad that they make the plot actively make sense and make the player angry, then that is not good.
It might be cool if you took one of your patented selfies now. The transformation between the old Max and the new Max. Anyway, answer my question, please. Fuck you. Oh, I had to let Victoria Chase
Yeah, there's
go.
no way to save Victoria Chase, but it doesn't fucking matter. This is obviously a non-viable timeline. Nothing we do in this timeline will matter. The only thing that matters is getting out of this timeline. So once again, this isn't a matter of how far will Max go to be with Chloe. It's about how will Max escape from a serial killer. It might as well be how fast can Max drive down the highway to escape from the cops, because at least that would work well with Chloe's bad boy demeanor. That, I thought, was going to be another cool power. Like, we could just take pictures with our eyes. Since it looked like we were inside of our eye when we were going back in time, maybe that's all we needed. It didn't turn out to mean anything.
I burned all your stuff. I got a little carried away.
Why?
He burned my diary.
Always.
That's why I'm still here.
How does that work?
Especially since you've developed from
That makes no sense. Like, at all. He should have been arrested long before he even saw that we had ripped up our photo. Did we hand him a ripped photo? Why?
Whoa. Did you see how crazy it is outside?
Also, why doesn't this bomb shelter have its own independent power supply? Well, now I'm being really nitpicky. I'm just trying to get through the scene because you can't skip shit in this game. As I said, these are fairly effective dark fantasy scenes. If you like Dexter, you'll probably like these scenes. It just doesn't fit into the game. This isn't Max choosing to do stuff, this is Max reacting. Whatever happens after this, the fallout from this is squarely not on Max's head and has nothing to do with Max's personal problems, so it actively derails the rest of the sequence. And someone comes in exactly when we were about to be injected. Okay. And guess who?
No, David, no!
Hurrah! The person
Jesus.
I thought was gonna go ahead and kill the serial killer is gonna go ahead and kill the serial killer. So, 96% of people give David a head wound when they do this. 4% of people have figured out how to let David get away with no head injury. It doesn't actually matter any, except that all of David's scenes are much more powerful if he has a head wound. And we'll see that. I don't know which one I'm going to go with, it depends. I'll try and get the no head wound thing just because so few people have gotten it.
And I promise you, no more nosebleeds.
Thank you.
Wait, hold on. Can I?
So the last time, David jumped in as soon as we were gonna get our neck syringed. So I was thinking, the first time through, I was thinking, okay, so what we want to do is we want to arrange it so that after about that much time has passed, this guy is in a place where David can get to him without being in any danger. So turn off the lights. Well, that'll put him at the door, and then David would really have an easy time getting his ass kicked. So that's not good. Play some music. Well, in that case, he'll be against the wall on the far side, and David will have the gun in his hand, and that'll be great. One last picture. Oh yeah, if he's in front of us with a camera and David comes in, that'd be great. Unfortunately, none of that stuff actually happens. What we need to do is ask for water.
Excuse me, but my throat is scratchy. Can I please have some water?
Of course.
And the whole thing we need here is for him to move this closer to us again, and that's what we actually needed to happen. Anyway, David should come bursting through that door any second now. 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 Why is David late? We didn't change anything to make David late, so why is he late?
I promise. This final dose won't hurt. What?
I call bullshit.
Jesus.
Your two options here are, if you warn at the right moment, then David will get through the door and he'll get smashed on the head, but he'll survive. Whereas if you don't warn, what you can do is you can kick this and interfere that way. I think. Yeah, so like this. And then David won't get a head injury.
No gun. No balls.
Jefferson, it's over.
You are not going to stop me. David Madsen. Of course. Well, this is what you get for playing cop. A real bullet.
So David Madsen really shows his stuff in this scene. It's an excellent scene. That's the main. It's his starring role. It's great, and I definitely like the way it's written. I like the way that he obeys you when you tell him to do something, like he thinks you're some kind of sergeant in the army or something. And it doesn't matter what you tell him to do. Like, no matter how ridiculous your command is, he will go ahead and obey you. And it turns out that that has nothing to do with what you need to do to save him. What you need to do to save him is knock over a light.
Oh, Lord, Max. Are you okay? Are you all right? Can you move?
Yes. Thank you, David. Thank you.
Don't thank me.
You brought me here.
It's very strange to see these scenes without him having a giant injury on his head. All of his lines carry a lot more weight when he's clearly suffering from a head injury, but it's the same lines. It's just a matter of whether or not he's, injured.
Except you are going to prison forever. Or worse.
Mr. Jefferson, now it's your turn to be captured in a moment.
That was pretty forced.
Save Chloe. He burned everything, including all of my photos.
Oh no, all of my photos have been burned, except for the 500 I have in my room on my wall. Or maybe the one in Nathan's room. How cool would that be, going into Nathan's room because he stole that one picture of us? Using that picture? That would have been awesome. But no, we're going to chase down Nathan. We're going to chase down Warren. Even though we don't know where he is, or if he has our picture, or if he's somewhere we can reach, or if he's alive. Whatever.
I better go outside and call Warren. Oh, please answer. David?
So this scene goes on a little bit long, just because I wasn't feeling as tense as the author has clearly intended me to. But it is very well written, and if you don't mind the length, it is powerful. Even with the length, it's still fairly powerful. It just drags on a little bit. So there are a lot of different kinds of dialogue scenes that you can write, and this kind of dialogue scene is a little bit rare. This is an absolutely straightforward dialogue scene with no layered conversations, no camera trickery, not even very much personal blocking. The concept here is that we have gotten to be invested in David, and this is the time when all of that investment pays back out. Everything he says is describing something that we already knew about him or that we judged him for, but from a different angle or from a personal angle, allowing us to make that connection and pull all of that investment back out. What we thought about him before has come full circle and is now going to echo back at us. And it's a very powerful way to do it, and the trick is, you can't use tricks. It's got to be very, very basic and honest.
Jefferson had to use him as a scapegoat.
That pervert was pulling all this shit right under my nose, too. I could have stopped him and Nathan if only I wasn't so stupid.
No. I told Principal Wells Nathan had a gun and almost used it, but he didn't want to believe me. I should have been more loud.
Now that would be a sensible thing to say if this episode had been about Max's faults, but it wasn't. It was about a Max desperately trying to kill a serial killer.
I had all the high-tech toys, well, you had each other.
And superpowers. So I don't know if She Learned From You ever goes anywhere useful because I can't bring myself to click it.
We are a great team.
That's one of my problems. I'm not good at teamwork. Never was. Even in the service.
I can't even imagine what...
So while this conversation is fundamentally just David talking about himself, it works very well because we know that this is David's main scene.
Great. I tried to be a good father, too. But you saw how that went.
All of the pieces of his backstory that we have uncovered come together, become explicit here. All of the things we've said about him come rushing back to us as we remember our judgments in the past.
Your methods are...
fucked up. I know.
I'm glad I stood up.
And we make a connection with him.
I try not to use my service as an excuse, but it's hard to come home after war. Most people don't know or care what it's like. Except Joyce. She gave me hope. A new life.
And you saved mine. Chloe, she would be proud of you.
I just want to see her safe with her mother. I promised Joyce I would go see a family counselor. I'll start by apologizing to Chloe. I don't expect her to call me dad, but maybe she'll stop calling me step douche. So, where is Chloe?
Those slow moments are the ones that this author is fantastic at. And this is the first time where it feels like Chloe is dead. And this is an important thing to learn if you are writing your own game. If you have a sequence and you're not sure if the player buys it or not, have the player character have to explain it to someone or deny it. Once the player has to make the player character face the situation, that ends up making the player have to face the situation. So at this moment, after a frigging hour, I began to believe that Chloe had been shot. It just didn't feel real until I had to face it. And that is a powerful tool that you should use yourself. If we tell him the truth, he'll get really depressed and kill somebody, or we're going to just hide the truth because I'm done with depressing crap.
She was pretty stressed out, so she went to go medicate before I ended up in here. So, she's okay.
Oh, thank God. For once, I'm happy Chloe's a stoner.
David, I have to go outside and get some real air and use my phone.
Of course. Go on, Max. You're a brave soldier. I'm glad Chloe has a best friend like you. Go on now. You've seen enough of this room.
That is true. We have seen enough of this room. So we're going to go ahead and leave it behind forever. In the next episode, we're going to start up outside this scene. So I'll see you there.